When my wife told me she was going to a team building dinner, I just smiled and nodded. She had no idea that her text messages were already backing up to my cloud server. Being an IT specialist has its perks, especially when your cheating wife forgets who set up her phone. What happened next would not only end our marriage, but would bring down an entire corporate executive team. Hey Reddit, I, 35M, need to get this off my chest. Looking back now, I realize that the signs were there all along. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is my story of how I discovered that sometimes the person you trust the most can become a complete stranger. Maybe if I had paid more attention to those little moments, the sudden password changes on her phone, the late work meetings, or those mysterious text messages, I could have prevented what was coming. It all started on a Wednesday evening in Phoenix. Sarah, 33F, my wife of 5 years, was getting ready for what she called a team-building dinner at her marketing firm. I sat in our living room, watching her flutter around in a new black dress I'd never seen before. This dress? Oh, I got it on sale last week, she said casually when I asked, though the Nordstrom tag she'd forgotten to remove suggested otherwise. The whole team is going to this new place downtown. Very upscale. You know how Karen likes to impress the clients. I watched as she applied another layer of makeup, far more than she usually wore to work events. Our golden retriever Max lay at my feet, his eyes following her movements as if he too sensed something was different. The past few weeks had been off. Sarah had been working late more often, constantly texting, and password-protecting apps she'd never locked before. Don't wait up for me, honey, she said, applying another coat of lipstick. These things can run pretty late, and we might go for drinks after. I nodded, trying to ignore the knot forming in my stomach. Sarah and I had always prided ourselves on our honest, open relationship. We were the couple our friends looked up to, the ones who hosted dinner parties and finished each other's sentences. Just last month, we'd been planning our dream vacation to Greece. Want me to drop you off? I offered, already knowing her answer. No need, babe. I'm taking an Uber there and back. Better safe than sorry, if we're having drinks, right? Have fun, I managed, forcing a smile. Text me when you're heading home? She barely looked at me as she grabbed her keys. Wait, didn't she just say she was taking an Uber? Of course, love you. The door closed behind her, and I sat there in silence. That's when my phone buzzed, a message from Tom, 34M, my best friend who worked at Sarah's firm. Dude, what team building dinner? The whole office went home hours ago. Karen's not even in town. She's at a conference in Chicago. My heart dropped. Another message from Tom followed, and Sarah called in sick today. Said she had a migraine. You okay, man? Just then, I heard Sarah's car start in the driveway. So much for that Uber story. Through the window, I watched her check her makeup one last time in the rearview mirror, then pull out onto the street. My hands were shaking as I texted Tom back. Keep this between us. I need to know everything. What happened next would change my life forever, but not in the way you might think. This isn't just another story about a cheating wife getting caught. This is a story about how I turned the tables and got the sweetest revenge while keeping my dignity intact. Buckle up, Reddit, because this is going to be one wild ride. Thanks for all the support on my last post. Some of you asked for more details, so here's what happened next. After Tom's messages, I knew I needed evidence. My hands were still shaking, but my mind was clear. First thing I did was check our shared cell phone account. Sarah had always been careless with digital footprints. One of the benefits of being married to an IT systems analyst, I guess. The call logs told an interesting story. One number kept showing up, always late at night or during her lunch breaks. I ran it through a reverse lookup service. James Anderson, VP of marketing at a competing firm. Funny, Sarah had never mentioned him before. Hey Tom, I texted. Ever heard of James Anderson? The typing bubbles appeared immediately. Yeah, he interviewed at our place last month. Smooth talker, expensive suit. Sarah gave him the office tour. I bet she did. Next, I checked her joint bank account. There they were, charges from restaurants I'd never been to, a hotel bar downtown, and a payment to a divorce attorney from last week. My stomach lurched. She was already planning her exit strategy. But the real kicker came when I checked the backup of her iPhone on our shared iCloud. Sarah wasn't tech-savvy enough to know that deleting messages from her phone didn't remove them from the backup. There they were, hundreds of messages between her and James. Miss you already. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to taste you again. Each message felt like a knife in my gut, but I kept reading. They'd been at it for 3 months. Every late meeting had been with him. Every girl's night out had been a date. She'd even sent him photos, intimate ones, taken in our bedroom, on our bed. I needed air. Grabbing Max's leash, I headed out for a walk. The Arizona night was cool, stars twinkling mockingly above. As Max and I rounded the corner, my phone buzzed. Sarah, meeting running late. Don't wait up. I checked the bank app again. A new charge had just posted. $75 at the Skyline Hotel bar. I knew the place. It was where all the affairs in Phoenix went to hide. Tom called as I was heading back home. Mike, you need to see this. Sarah just posted a photo on her private Instagram story. She must have forgotten I follow her. She's at the Skyline, and she's not alone. Send it to me, I said, my voice steady. The photo loaded. Sarah, my wife, sitting at a candlelit table, her hand intertwined with a man's. The caption read, "Perfect evening." That's when I made a decision. If Sarah wanted to play games, I could play too. But I'd play them better. Way better. First, I transferred half of our savings to a new account. Perfectly legal since we were still married. Then I called my cousin Lisa, a family law attorney specializing in infidelity cases. Hey Lisa, remember when you said you owed me for fixing your server? Time to collect. What do you need? I want to know every legal way to make a cheating spouse regret their choices. And I need to know how to document everything so it holds up in court. Lisa chuckled. Oh, honey, you came to the right person. Give me an hour to pull some files together. I hung up and looked at Max, who wagged his tail supportively. Well, boy, looks like we're about to give Sarah the surprise of her life. But first, I needed to make some preparations. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just about getting even. It's about getting ahead. And I was about to get way ahead. Update. Man, you guys are awesome. Your advice has been spot on. Here's the next part of my story. Lisa, my shark of a lawyer cousin, came through big time. We met at a coffee shop far from my usual haunts. No need to spill the beans to any mutual friends just yet. All right, cuz, she said, spreading out some documents. You're in a better position than most. Joint accounts, shared property, and digital paper trail. We're gonna nail her to the wall. But I had something else in mind. Before we go nuclear, I want to play this smart. Sarah thinks she's got me wrapped around her finger. The clueless husband who's too dense to see what's right in front of him. Lisa raised an eyebrow. You're cooking up something devious, aren't you? Let's just say I'm about to flip the script. First order of business. I needed to get closer to James Anderson's world. A quick LinkedIn search showed we had a mutual connection, my old college buddy Alex, who worked at a tech firm downtown. Time to grab a beer with an old pal. James Anderson? Alex snorted when I mentioned the name. Total player. Dude's got a reputation for hitting on married women at business conferences. Real piece of work. Tell me more, I said, keeping my voice casual. Word on the street is he's about to get the boot. Company's doing an internal audit. Something about cooked numbers and shady expense reports. Bingo. Sarah had no clue she was hitching her wagon to a sinking ship. Back home, I started setting my trap. Changed all our Wi-Fi and streaming passwords. Little things to establish digital dominance without raising suspicion. Then I booked a table at Bella Luna, Sarah and James's favorite rendezvous spot, for Friday night. Hey babe, I texted Sarah. Got a surprise date night planned for Friday. That new Italian place you've been wanting to try. Her response was quick. Oh honey, I can't. Big client presentation on Saturday morning. Need to prep. No worries, I replied. Another time. What she didn't know was that I'd already found her secret Google Calendar. Rookie mistake using our shared family email as recovery. There it was. Dinner with Jay, Bella Luna, 8 p.m. Time to call in another favor. My buddy Steve owned the restaurant's valet service. Need a solid man. Couple coming in Friday night. Black Audi A6. Plate number. I rattled off James's details from our surveillance. I want to know exactly when they arrive. You got it. But what's the play? Just making sure some friends get the VIP treatment they deserve. Next, I started my transformation. Hit the gym hard, got a sharp haircut, and bought some new clothes. If Sarah noticed, she didn't say anything. Too busy with her work presentations to pay attention to her supposed better half. I also had a little chat with Karen from Sarah's office, the one supposedly in Chicago. Turns out she had quite a few interesting stories about Sarah and James's professional relationship. Between us, Karen whispered over coffee, HR's been keeping a file. Sexual harassment complaints, inappropriate behavior at company events. They're building a case. Perfect. The dominoes were lined up. Now I just had to wait for Friday night, when phase 1 of my plan would kick into high gear. Hey Tom, I texted my inside man. You still tight with that reporter from the Business Journal? Yeah, why? Tell her there might be a juicy story breaking soon. Corporate scandal, workplace romance gone wrong. The whole 9 yards. The pieces were in place. Sarah thought she was starring in some romantic drama. She had no clue she was actually in a chess match. And I was about to call checkmate. Update. Things are moving fast now, Reddit. Here's what went down next. After confirming Sarah's affair, I knew I had to make my move. Without saying a word, I packed my things and moved into our guest bedroom. Sarah's reaction? Priceless. What are you doing? She demanded, watching me hang up my clothes in the guest closet. Just giving you space, I replied coolly. Isn't that what you wanted? She stood there, mouth agape. You're being ridiculous. This is childish. Childish? That's rich coming from someone who can't even be honest about their dinner plans. Her face went through 50 shades of panic before settling on fake indignation. What's that supposed to mean? I just shrugged and continued unpacking. The ball was in her court now. The next morning, I hit the ground running. First stop, my barber, Tony. Make me look like I'm about to steal someone's girl, I told him. He worked his magic, fresh fade, cleaned up the beard, the works. Next up, my buddy Derek's high-end clothing store. Going to a funeral, he joked as I tried on a sleek black suit. Nah, man. More like a resurrection. I dropped my car at the detail shop. Might as well go all out. While they worked their magic, I made a crucial phone call to Rachel, a lawyer friend who'd been sending me signals at the gym for months. Hey, stranger. She answered on the second ring. Remember how you said you owed me for fixing your computer? Time to collect. Dinner tomorrow night? Her laugh was warm and genuine. Well, look who finally got a clue. Where are we going? That new place downtown, La Luna. Here it's quite the spot for running into people. Sounds intriguing. Pick me up at 7? Back home, Sarah was trying to act normal, but I could see her watching me like a hawk. The new clothes, the haircut, the spring in my step, it was driving her crazy. Big plans? She asked casually as I adjusted my tie in the hallway mirror. You could say that. I spritz on some cologne, the expensive stuff I'd been saving. With who? The jealousy in her voice was music to my ears. Someone who appreciates honesty. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. Don't wait up. Her voice cracked slightly. I thought we were happy. I turned back, meeting her eyes. So did I? Funny how things look different when you're not the only one playing the game. As I pulled out of the driveway in my freshly detailed car, I caught her expression in the rearview mirror. For the first time since this all started, she looked scared. Good. Because tomorrow night at La Luna, when she showed up with James for their regular date, she'd find out exactly what it feels like to be blindsided. You guys won't believe what went down at La Luna. Here's the tea. Rachel looked stunning in a red dress that screamed upgrade when I picked her up. We'd planned everything down to the minute. La Luna was Sarah and James's regular spot. They even had their table by the window. Tonight, though, they'd find it occupied. Ready to put on a show? Rachel whispered as we claimed their usual table. Being a lawyer, she loved a good courtroom drama. This was even better. Right on schedule. At 7:30, Sarah and James walked in. I watched their reflection in the window, saw the exact moment Sarah spotted us. Her step faltered, face going pale. James, clueless as ever, nearly walked into her. Something wrong, babe? I heard him ask. Poor sap had no idea he was just a pawn in tonight's game. The maitre d' approached them. I'm sorry, but your usual table seems to be occupied. Would you prefer to wait, or... Sarah was already storming toward us, James trailing behind like a confused puppy. What are you doing here? She hissed at me. I looked up, the picture of innocence. Having dinner? Rachel, this is my wife, Sarah. Sarah, this is Rachel. She's a partner at Martinez and Goldman. Divorce law specialist. Rachel extended her hand with a predatory smile. Charmed. And this must be James Anderson? Your reputation precedes you. James puffed up slightly, until Rachel continued. The SEC investigation into your company's finances is quite the talk among my corporate clients. The color drained from his face. What investigation? Oh dear, Rachel feigned concern. Perhaps this isn't the best venue for that discussion, especially given the Business Journal reporter at the bar. She seems quite interested in your table. Sarah's eyes darted around frantically. I just sat back, sipping my wine. The calamari here is excellent, I offered. Though I hear the crow is also quite good. We need to talk. Sarah grabbed my arm. We really do, I agreed. Like about the divorce papers you'll be served tomorrow. Or maybe about the complaint HR received about workplace fraternization. Or should we discuss the funds you've been moving from our joint account? James started backing away. Sarah, we should go. Running already? I called after him. But you haven't heard about the other wives yet. He froze. What other wives? Oh, Jessica from accounting, Michelle from marketing. They all thought they were special too. Sarah, did he promise you a position in his new company? Funny thing about that. A commotion at the bar interrupted us. Two women were approaching, both looking ready for blood. James Anderson, one called out. Remember me from the conference in Vegas? The look on Sarah's face was priceless as she realized she wasn't his only special friend. By the way, I added casually, you might want to check your phone. Those intimate photos you sent him? They just got emailed to the entire board of directors. Oops. Sarah looked ready to faint. James was already speed-walking to the exit, leaving her standing there alone. Have a nice life. I raised my glass. Rachel, shall we order dessert? I hear their humble pie is excellent. As Sarah fled the restaurant in tears, I felt no joy, just a quiet satisfaction. The game was over, and she never even realized she'd been playing against a master. The fallout from the La Luna showdown was epic. Here's what happened next. Sarah came home at midnight, mascara streaked down her face. I was in the living room, calmly reviewing divorce papers with Rachel. The look on Sarah's face when she saw us was worth every penny of Rachel's legal fees. How could you? Sarah's voice cracked. Humiliating me in public like that? Interesting, I replied, not looking up. That's exactly what I was going to ask about those photos you sent James. The ones taken in our bedroom. Rachel cleared her throat professionally. Mrs. Thompson, as your husband's legal counsel, I advise you to choose your next words carefully. They may be used in divorce proceedings. Sarah collapsed onto the couch. Legal counsel? You're really divorcing me? The papers will be officially served tomorrow, I said. But since you're here, we can do this now. Rachel pulled out the documents. We have evidence of infidelity, misuse of joint funds, and attempted concealment of assets. You've been withdrawing money for a separate apartment, correct? Sarah's head snapped up. How did you? Bank statements don't lie, I cut in. Neither do hotel receipts, text messages, or those interesting emails about joining James at his new company. About that, Rachel smiled coldly. James won't be having a new company. The SEC investigation is quite thorough. In fact, his current company's board just voted to terminate him. Something about inappropriate relationships with married women and misuse of corporate funds. Sarah's phone buzzed. She looked at it and went pale. He just broke up with me. By text. Classy guy, I commented. By the way, you might want to check your email. HR sent an interesting memo about workplace relationships and upcoming staff changes. The reality of her situation finally seemed to hit her. Job in jeopardy. Lover gone. Marriage over. All her carefully built lies crumbling around her. I'll move out, she whispered. No need. I stood up. I've already arranged for a place. Rachel's firm has a great relocation specialist. The movers will be here tomorrow. You're leaving? Now she looked panicked. What about the house? Our life together. Should have thought about that before playing house with James. Oh, and about the house. It's in my name. Remember when you were too busy with work to attend the mortgage signing? Rachel handed her a thick envelope. Your copy of the divorce papers. We'll need your response within 30 days. Also, there's a cease and desist order regarding any contact with my client's family or place of work. Sarah started to cry. I never meant for. Save it for your therapist. I cut her off. You didn't accidentally fall into James's bed multiple times. You made choices. Now you get to live with them. As if on cue, her phone buzzed again. Her face crumpled as she read the message. Let me guess, I said. The other wives found out? She nodded miserably. Funny thing about karma, I mused. Sometimes it needs a little push. In this case, several email pushes to various interested parties. Rachel packed up her briefcase. I believe we're done here. Mrs. Thompson, my office will be in touch regarding the division of assets. I grabbed my pre-packed bags. The house is yours until the divorce is final. Consider it a courtesy, one you didn't extend to me. As I walked out the door, Sarah called after me. Was any of it real? The last 5 years? I paused. I was real. You were just playing a part. The difference is I finally learned my lines. Exit stage left. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. In my car, I checked my phone, a message from Rachel. Dinner tomorrow? For real this time? Sometimes endings are just better beginnings in disguise. A lot of you asked what happened to James. Grab some popcorn, because this is where it gets good. Remember the SEC investigation? Turns out James had been cooking the books for years. My IT skills came in handy when anonymously helping investigators find his hidden files. The morning after La Luna, James walked into his office to find internal affairs waiting. His computer was seized, access cards deactivated. But that was just the appetizer. By lunchtime, 3 more women came forward with harassment claims. Seems Sarah wasn't his only special project at work. My anonymous tip to HR about creating a safe reporting channel really paid off. You should see his face, Tom texted from the office. Dude sweating bullets. Securities is escorting him out now. Those photos Sarah sent him? James had kept trophies from all his conquests. When those accidentally leaked to the board, faces blurred. It was game over. The Business Journal broke the story. Executive terminated amid sexual misconduct and financial fraud allegations. Rachel read the article with interest. Multiple affairs, cooking the books, harassment complaints. Your friend Tom's quotes really sell it. Tom's good at keeping his ear to the ground, I smiled. And his new promotion to James's position is well-deserved. By evening, James's wife, plot twist, he was married, went public. Seems she'd been building her own case for months. The next day, everything imploded. SEC announced formal investigation. 3 more companies came forward with fraud evidence. His country club membership was revoked. A real tragedy for a social climber. Guess who's loading a U-Haul? My neighbor texted. James's white BMW was notably absent. Turns out it was a company lease. Oops. Sarah tried calling him repeatedly. His final text was brutal. You're as much to blame. Never contact me again. You orchestrated all this? Rachel asked over dinner. Me? I just provided information to the right people. The rest was karma. And the anonymous website listing his misdeeds? The one every employer will find. I shrugged. The internet is mysterious. The final tally. Potential criminal charges, ruined marriage, dead career, and a digital footprint that would follow him forever. Remind me never to get on your bad side, Tom laughed. I prefer the high road, I replied. It just sometimes helps to install a few speed bumps along the way. Some of you asked about the divorce proceedings and what happened next. Here's how it played out. The divorce moved quickly, thanks to Rachel's expertise. Sarah didn't contest anything. She was too busy dealing with her own professional fallout. The HR investigation into her workplace relationship with James left her with 2 options: resign or be fired. She chose resignation, but her troubles weren't over. Word spreads fast in the corporate world, and her reputation was shot. Last I heard, she was moving back to her hometown in Ohio. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to realize how far you've fallen. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding my life. The house sold quickly. Turns out Rachel knows some excellent realtors who aren't Emily. I found a modern apartment downtown, closer to work and my new gym. You seem different, Tom mentioned during our weekly basketball game. More confident, maybe? Nothing builds character like having to start over, I replied, sinking a 3-pointer. The divorce finalization came through on a Tuesday. Rachel handed me the papers with a smile that wasn't entirely professional. How does it feel to be officially single? Like a weight's been lifted, I admitted. Though I have this awesome lawyer who's been making the process easier. She blushed slightly. Careful there. Dating your divorce lawyer might raise some eyebrows. Good thing you're not my lawyer anymore, I grinned, holding up the signed papers. Sarah tried reaching out once more, through a mutual friend. She was sorry and wanted to explain. I sent back a simple response. Nothing to explain. Good luck in Ohio. The funny thing about betrayal is that once the initial pain fades, you realize it was actually setting you free. Free from lies, free from doubt, free from someone who didn't value what they had. You never told me, Rachel said over dinner that night. What made you suspect Sarah in the first place? I thought about it. It wasn't one thing. It was the little changes. How she stopped sharing the small moments. How her eyes would light up at her phone, but not at me. Sometimes the signs are there. We just don't want to read them. And now I know what to look for. I smiled, reaching for her hand. Honesty, respect, and someone who gets excited about actually being with me. The waiter brought our dessert, coincidentally, at the same restaurant where Sarah's affair had been exposed. Sometimes life has a sense of humor. To new beginnings, Rachel raised her glass. And to karma, I added with a wink. May she always have good aim. Several of you asked about what happened to Sarah and James after everything went down. Here's what I know from mutual friends and social media. James's fall was spectacular. The SEC investigation revealed he'd been running schemes at 3 different companies. His wife took him for everything in the divorce, and his lawyer fees ate up what was left. Last update. He's working as a junior sales rep at a small firm in New Jersey. Quite a step down from executive VP. His LinkedIn profile still lists him as a strategic business consultant, but no one's buying it. Sarah didn't fare much better. Back in Ohio, she moved in with her parents. Talk about a reality check. Her attempt to spin the story as finding herself on social media fell flat when James's other girlfriends started commenting. Tom keeps me updated on the office gossip. Remember that promotion Sarah was angling for? They gave it to Lisa from accounting, the one who helped expose James's creative bookkeeping. Some karma you just can't script. Sarah tried the dating scene in Ohio, but her reputation followed her. Amazing how fast word spreads when you're known for workplace affairs. She finally had to lock down all her social media after people kept sharing the Business Journal article. You'll never believe this, Rachel told me over breakfast. Sarah applied for a position at my firm. As a legal secretary. Please tell me you're joking. Nope. Her resume conveniently omitted the last year of her employment history. The universe has a sense of humor. James attempted a comeback, launching a business consulting website. It disappeared after his former company sent a cease and desist letter. Apparently, using their trademark materials wasn't his brightest move. The last I heard, Sarah was working at a small marketing firm, handling junior accounts. Her dating profile says she's learned from past mistakes and is looking for honesty. The irony is rich enough to serve at dinner parties. Tom summed it up best. You know what's better than revenge? Watching karma do its job while you live your best life. Looking back, I almost feel sorry for them. Almost. But as Rachel likes to say, every case needs a cautionary tale. And they became one hell of a story. Final update. It's been a year since everything went down. Time for one last post to wrap this story up. Rachel and I got married last month. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. Tom was my best man. After all, his text message started this whole journey. During his speech, he couldn't resist. Sometimes the best things in life start with catching someone at their worst. The wedding was at La Luna. Yes, that La Luna. The owner gave us a great deal, remembering the dinner show from last year. We even sat at the same table where everything fell apart with Sarah. Poetic justice has a way of coming full circle. I've changed in ways I never expected. The gym routine stuck. Turns out revenge is a great motivation to get in shape. My IT consulting business is thriving. Nothing like a personal crisis to make you focus on your career. Sarah sent a congratulations card when she heard about the wedding. I returned it unopened. Some chapters are better left closed. Tom got promoted to James's old position and completely transformed the department. No more office romances on my watch, he jokes. The company even uses our story in their HR training. Names change, of course. Rachel's law practice specializes in helping people who've been cheated on. You inspired a whole new business model, she tells me. People want a lawyer who understands both the legal and emotional sides. Looking back, I realized that Sarah's betrayal wasn't the end. It was a beginning. It taught me about self-respect, about standing up for myself, and about the difference between loving someone and letting them walk all over you. The other day, I found our old wedding album while unpacking. Those pictures used to hurt. Now they're just reminders of lessons learned. Rachel suggested we donate it to Goodwill. Someone might need the frame, she smiled. To everyone who followed this story and offered support, Thank you. Your advice and encouragement helped more than you know. Special shout out to the Redditor who suggested the SEC tip line. That was pure gold. Life isn't about avoiding betrayal. It's about how you handle it when it comes. I chose to handle it with dignity, a bit of style, and just enough revenge to make it interesting. Rachel just read this over my shoulder and laughed. You forgot the best part, she said. Tell them about the house. Oh yeah, we bought a house. Guess where? Right next door to Sarah's old dream home. The one she always wanted but James could never afford. Every morning, I have coffee on the deck and smile. Sometimes Karma needs a little help, but mostly, she knows exactly what she's doing.